Welcome to Coffee Commerce. My name is Sean Ramit, and I'm the grandson of a coffee farmer from Guyana, South America. On Coffee Commerce, we talk about the stories behind coffee, not just business, but also ideas and culture and how coffee was used to transform some of these things. Last week, we talked about good to the last drop, but the story behind that. And then we ended up talking about cafes. And we pick up where we left off there. And we also have to go back to the beginning with the birth of coffee in episode 1. In episode 1, we talked about some of the ideas of where coffee was birthed, and we talked about the goat herder from Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, the goat herder took the coffee beans to the monastery, and that's where things started from. So from the monastery, it ended up catching on to homes in Ethiopia, where it became popular to have coffee in your home. But it never really caught on beyond the home in Ethiopia. But it did catch on to other parts of the world. It crossed the Red Sea to Yemen. And in Yemen is where it became popular with the Sufis. And it was popular for the Sufis so that it would help them stay up late at night for their prayers. It didn't just stay with the Sufis. It ended up being part of what would be served in a wealthy person's home to their guests. And it became a popular thing for the wealthy. But it was very difficult for the common person to brew coffee. So instead of brewing their own coffee, the common person ended up going to coffee houses. And it's in these coffee houses that they were able to enjoy a cup of coffee at a reasonable price. And these coffee houses were starting to spring up not just in Yemen, but also in Mecca, Medina, Cairo, even Baghdad, all over the area, and especially around the Red Sea area. And it was in these coffee houses that not only was it popular to drink coffee, but because they had a common place to meet, they had a common thing to do, which was to enjoy a cup of coffee and be stimulated from the drink. They also did things like play games, and they did things such as talk about politics, ideas. They started to have stimulating conversation about things that were new thoughts, new ideas. People from all walks of life, from all over the world, came to these coffee houses, and they would engage in conversation. Some of this conversation that they were being engaged in was not very popular with the ruling class. The governor of Mecca, who would also be the equivalent to the chief of police there, had found out that in the coffee houses that they were saying not so pleasant things about him. They had written some satirical verses about the governor of Mecca. And when he found out about that, he wanted to shut down not just the coffee houses, but to ban coffee as well. In 1511, the governor of Mecca decided to ban coffee houses and coffee, stating that it was an intoxicating drink similar to wine. And because of this type of intoxication, that it was against their scriptures and against their beliefs. When word of this reached the Sultan of Cairo, who was technically his boss, who loved coffee and the coffee houses, he reversed the order. Some say the governor of Mecca was replaced. Others say that the Sultan of Cairo had him executed. Regardless, the ban on coffee was short-lived, and it became so common, these coffee houses, that it would spread beyond this area of the Red Sea and would go to a place that would become a centerpiece for coffee for many years to come. But that's another story for another cup of coffee. Thank you.